I'm going to try some new stuff. As I was preparing for this stream, I voice recorded instead of wrote stuff down because sometimes, we can speak faster than we can write, right? Our speed of thought is the fastest, and then we speak slower and we write even more slowly. So I thought if I wanted to get down my thoughts most accurately, maybe I should try the voice recorder thing. And then I was like, well, I can't listen to the voice recorder while I'm doing the live stream, so maybe I should take some notes on what I recorded. So I was kind of trying to like manually transcribe everything. And then I learned a lesson from my Pluto and Aquarius transits and got an app to transcribe the voice notes for me. And that was so handy and helpful. So that's cool. I'm not a techie person at all. Y'all are probably like, oh my God, really, Mandy? There's an app for free on your iPhone that will do those things. But, I know that now. And that's the important thing that I'm learning. So yeah, I'm trying something new in real time here. And we will see how it works. Let me get the chart pulled up for the new moon. How are you guys doing? I hope everyone is well. There it is. Ooh, okay, cool. There we go. Got it. Okay, so this full moon is a lot. I'm going to go over more information than I usually do when we do our moon streams. We're going to go through it piece by piece. I'm going to make it easy to understand. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll clarify or whatever we need to do there. I think first it's important to understand something about air before I even get into Libra or moon or sun or any of that. Air is our breathing, right? It's it represents like our cognition. Our brain controls how we communicate, how we move, motor skills, that sort of thing, how we take in information, interpret it, how we give information, all of those things. But it's about breath. It's about breathing. Our natural state when we come into the world, this is Gemini, is you just breathe in and out. You already know how to do it. In Libra, that's more about where you start to understand why it is equally important for you to breathe and the other person to breathe, right? And then in Aquarius, the last air sign, we sort of start to understand, to realize how the whole system works. So think about this. We breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide, okay? The trees, all right, that's Gemini. We breathe in oxygen, breathe out carbon dioxide. Libra, we've got the trees, right? There's the other. Now we understand that we're integrated into this system where more than just us exists. The trees breathe in carbon dioxide and out oxygen. I mean, not just the trees, but, So we understand we breathe in and out, the other person breathes in and out, and Those things work together. Aquarius is sort of like, oh, this is how the whole ecosystem works. You know what I mean? Like, this is how this happens because of this, and this happens because of this. And we see like the whole, we see more than just us and the trees. We see how it affects everything else. And we see how all the parts fit together and they create like this whole system. That's sort of like an underlying theme to keep in mind as we talk about this full moon. It's also important before we get started to understand the word opportunity. I was thinking about this word today, opportunity, right? And I'm doing all this stuff. I'm taking all these notes about Libra, and it's all about the other, almost like the opposition. You're going to hear me say that some in this. And I was like, I'm an etymology nerd, right? Opposition, opportunity, like is that not the same root word? So I started digging a little bit. And opposite or opportunity comes from like the Latin words. Let me slow down. Ob is Latin. It means in front of or in the way of. Now, in front of, that doesn't sound too like this thing is coming at you. Like, we don't need to be too defensive about that, right? If something is in front of us, it's just in front of us. In the way of, it sounds kind of like, oh, you're in my way. Your way, like your path. This thing is in your way. That means it's in your path. Not like it's an obstacle, but it's just something that is along your path, right? So if we've got words like opposite or opposition, and then we've got a word like opportunity. If you think opportunity is like opposition and unity, I think opportunity becomes a very Libran word if Libra is about integrating ourselves with the other, or like integrating ourselves into the world. It's about the balance in these two things, right? So balance, sort of, how do we sort of unite with this thing that is on our path? I think if you can look at the word opposite with that frame of mind, it becomes a lot less fight or flight invoking, and a lot more, this is cool. What can I learn from this? What can this look like? It becomes more optimistic, more peaceful, for sure. That's a Libran thing. All right, I'm going to try to do the new thing now. So let me pull that up. I guess I should pull up the chart too. This is the new thing I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to share just this window so I can look at some notes I have in another window. Man, electronics are not my jam. Just let me do that real quick. So the window or screen. Oh, that's cool. I have more things on this little menu now. I'm such a nerd, right? Let me make sure that worked. You are sharing Firefox. Cool. Very cool. Perfect. Now, if I pull up this, does it show on the screen? No. Love it. Love it. I learned how to do a new tech thing today. I'm so excited. This is the transcription of my voice notes. So I'm going to read from this mostly. Like I said, I'm trying something new. I'm trying to balance the ideas that come to me, the things that come to me like in the moment when I first look at something, or like as I'm interpreting a chart for the first time, with being more prepared ahead of time. And I don't want to lose that like Uranus light bulb going off moment energy in the process of being more prepared. See how this Libra stuff is working for me? So that's what I'm doing. That's what you guys are seeing me do in real time right here. So when I first looked at this chart, the overall feel for the full moon to me was like, it feels like something is sort of trying to transcend. And I said that because of what we have in the air signs. Let me get my other chart so I can look at both, because I can't see my whole screen right now. Is this why people have like multiple monitors when they're doing stuff like this? Good grief. Okay, so we've got the moon in Libra. That's where our full moon is happening tomorrow in about 25 hours, actually, and 10 minutes or so. And then we've got Jupiter in Gemini, and we've got Pluto in Aquarius. This is not quite a grand trine. Grand trine just means that you have something in every one of the elemental signs. So it would be like something in all of the air signs, something in all of the earth signs, water signs, fire signs. I say it's not quite because the degrees are off, right? Jupiter is at 17 degrees, the moon is at 23 degrees, and Pluto is at 3 degrees. So it's not perfect. Like the energy is not flowing all the way. So there's this awkwardness to it, right? Pluto does the work. It shows us where we need to do the work. So it helps us do the work. It shows us, man, Pluto can be ruthless. Pluto shows us where the darkness is. It shows us the darkness. But sometimes it shows us the darkness so we can help bring the light. Jupiter is all about our potential, our growth. And then the full moon is like the fullest reflection of our ego that our subconscious is trying to show us. So that's why I said it's like this awkward transcendence, because the degrees are not lining up perfect, but all of these things are still working together to sort of help us become better, to evolve us in some way, to help us reach our potential by doing some work that we need to do, some healing somewhere that we need to do. And we might have to dig deep for that. And that's okay. So it kind of feels like these planets are maybe going in for like that awkward, am I going to handshake, am I going to hug, right? But they're going in for it, and that's the important thing. Let me get my other notes, because I'm gonna look at what I did write down for my voice recording before I knew that I could transcribe it digitally. Anyways, like what is sort of keeping us from engaging, I think, is the important thing to look at here. Why is it awkward? Like it is very important that we're making the effort. Like that's the main point. But why is there like this way or this way? Like why are we not flowing all the way yet? So let's take a look at that. We've got Venus and Mercury. That's sort of the first thing I want to look at, because before I get to the main point of the moon and the sun. I need to slow myself down, guys. Before we get to like the full moon thing, there's sort of some buildup, some things that are going on around it that will help us understand it more fully. Venus and Mercury. Venus and Mercury. Venus is at 24 degrees and Mercury is at 28 degrees of Pisces, right? This is where our North Node is. The last full moon, we had Venus and Mercury also together with the North Node, but they were in Aries, right? Am I looking at that right? Excuse me. My bad. The North Node was not in Aries. The North Node was already in Pisces, but we got Venus and Mercury in Aries during the last full moon. Venus was retrograde then, right? Venus is going direct today. The retrogrades are important to this because Mercury has also been retrograde since the last full moon. During that last full moon, I talked about how Venus and Mercury together in Aries are saying like they're very good at communicating honestly how they feel, right? I have no problem telling you how I feel and what I need. But sometimes that can come across as very aggressive. Sometimes it can be very aggressive without us intending it to. And sometimes we do intend it that way. And sometimes it can get to the point where it turns into violence, right? Now Mercury and Venus are in Pisces, having gone through this retrograde, having said like, well, wait a minute, let me just, what can I improve about my communication? What can I improve about the way I feel, about feeling better, so it's not so aggressive? Pisces is like this place of acceptance, right? It's not acceptance like you've been defeated. It's acceptance like I'm ready for this. Okay. So in Aries, it's more of like me versus you kind of energy. Pisces, it's like the communication is more open. Like there's a healing that's taking place and you're concerned for the other. You're considerate of them. You understand that their feelings and the way they communicate is just as important as yours. Even though it may be different, it's still equal and you're okay with it being different. Like it doesn't bother you. So it makes for much better communication, right? Like sometimes we do need to be very frank, very open and honest. We need to communicate directly. This is how I feel and this is what I need. But sometimes Aries gets a little war god, right? So with the nodes moving from Aries to Pisces, with the North Node moving from Aries to Pisces, it's like, we did this, we made this known. Okay, now let's calm it down just a little bit and see what we can do with that. And Venus and Mercury are sort of like they're mirroring that. They're helping us do that. There's this togetherness because of acceptance, right? I think about Venus and Mercury together like music, something that we can feel, that we're connected to, that brings us pleasure, that we enjoy, and it's also communicating something. So think about it like this. If you have a band or an orchestra or whatever, and like each instrument sounds different, each instrument is played differently, each instrument has its own expression, its way of expressing itself, its way of existing. And that's the way it should be, because when you bring them all together with their differences, you get music. And that's like, who doesn't like music? So we all have our own feelings. We all have our own needs. We all have our own questions, our own voices. We are supposed to be individuals. We are supposed to exist as an individual with our own thoughts and feelings. But then we also have to exist together because we're social creatures, are we not? And look at what humans can do when they work together. Just saying. So I think the North Node kind of wants us to make music. And it's got Venus and Mercury to help it do that. If we look at the South Node in relation to that, the South Node being in Virgo, what are the things about Virgo that can be too much that we need to sort of back away from, let go of, like ease up off the gas on? I think South Node is sort of like the auto tune in this case. It's so focused on getting every little detail just right that you sacrifice the human part of it. I hear people all the time, especially older people who are old enough to have listened to records and things like that, that the new music is too perfect. And Virgo has to be careful about being too perfect or trying to be too perfect. So embrace the record player, right? That's what we're trying to do here. Or live music. If you go and you hear a band play, it's not going to sound exactly the same as what their recorded album sounds like because it hasn't been tweaked and tuned and all of those things. I also think Saturn is helping us with this. I know, right? Saturn, oh my gosh, Saturn's a bad guy. It's like the great malefic. What does Saturn have to offer that can actually help us? Saturn is the part of us that says no. Right? Saturn's boundaries. So Saturn is saying, no, we don't need to tweak this or tweak that. We just need to get rid of the fucking auto-tune and play the music. And Saturn is kind of like this boss energy, right? Like Saturn represents discipline and work and these things. So Saturn is sort of, Saturn has the credentials, right, to back up its reputation. It says no respectfully. Like you have to respect its opinion because it's been there, done that kind of thing. It's done the work, it's learned the lessons, it's disciplined. Whereas like Mars is more no, because it's like, you know, no, I just don't want to do that, or no, I just don't like you. It's a little more aggressive, a little more immature. It's like, what do you have to back that up, Mars? Sometimes we need that part of us. I'm not saying we don't, but I'm saying in this case, I think Saturn bringing that boss energy, helping Venus and Mercury and the North Node say no to the South Node in Virgo is very helpful. It makes it easier for us to move toward the things like the lessons that we need to learn with the North Node being in Pisces. Okay, so the moon being in Libra means that the sun is in Aries. If the moon is our subconscious, then the sun is our ego, our waking conscious, right? And I think that the full moon is demanding us to be more diplomatic with our ego right here, to rise above our ego. Like we need our ego, again, because we exist. We need to exist. We need to have an autonomy, right? We need to be able to move through the world and do things on our own, to be self-sufficient. But it can be too much, especially in Aries. You can assert yourself too much. You can over-assert yourself and become aggressive, or you can just be an asshole. And we needed to calm down a little bit. again, that sort of reflects the Aries to Libra movement with the North Node. We see like the same sort of energy we have with the North Node moving from Aries to Pisces is the same energy we see with this full moon, with Libra trying to balance out our sun in Aries, our ego. It's like, hey, cool down just a little bit, right? So all the Aries stuff is being tampered down by Pisces and Libra. Aries is about existence, period, not in relation to another, right? When we come into the world, we come into the world. We don't come into the world with anybody else. And our existence is this irrefutable truth. Like, everybody exists. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. It's just you. So when the nodes were in Aries and Libra, there was sort of this this vibe of stop people pleasing and stand up for yourself. Now that they've moved, and this full moon is helping us do that, it's sort of saying, okay, we did that. Everybody knows everybody else is here. We exist. Now let's stop being so critical of each other. Let's stop imposing ourselves on one another. What happens when you give Aries fire too much fuel? It turns into the war god, and we don't need that. So Pisces waters that down. We get it. You exist. Like, we couldn't do anything about that if we wanted to, right? Not like we get it, okay, we're tired of hearing it, but like, we get it. We understand. You exist. The only thing we could do if we didn't like that would be to kill you. Oh, there's a war god thing, right? But that sort of doesn't solve the problem, because Libra is about balance. You have to balance one thing with another in order for there to be balance, right? Like, you don't have anything to balance. There is no balance if there's only one thing. There has to be two things. So that's not balance if you just get rid of the other because of whatever reason. So Pisces is like, yeah, you exist. We get it. Let's calm down. Let's not kill each other. And let's just hang out. Can we just sit down and hang out? You exist as an individual. I exist as an individual. And we exist together as a whole. And yeah, again, Venus and Mercury bringing that in with like emotions, communication, logistics, just making it easier for us to do those things. So if the moon is memory, right? It's also saying, because we have, I am just for 1 second. If the moon is memory, the moon is reminding us, hey, don't forget about those lessons we learned from this previous nodal axis of Libra and Aries. When the South Node was in Libra and the North Node was in Aries, don't forget about lessons we learned over here in Libra and in Aries. Just reflect on them as we move forward. Like, what can you carry with you from that will help you be better? Because that's how we get better at things, right? We remember how we did it before, so we know to do it better this time. I wrote down on the side here about the retrogrades. Like, if you think about Jesus being Pisces, because you know it's the age of Pisces when Jesus came, with the retrogrades being ended, like Jesus is out of the desert, the alchemy is done. If you're in alchemy, you know there's like a 40-day thing going on with that. Inanna is back home. Like, what have we learned about these things? And yeah, what have we learned in the last 40 days while Venus was in retrograde? That was just a little side note that I wrote down there. Jesus is out of the desert. Inanna is home. Sorry. There are some aspects that I don't usually talk about. This is what I meant when I said, like, we have a little bit more information to go over with this than we normally do. And this is a reason my chart looks a little bit different, because I'm using a different website for this one. Because on the other one, I can't show you these little dotted green lines here, or dashed green lines. The dash is a quincunx. Feel like that word? Quincunx. It's when things are 150 degrees apart, or 5 signs. Because like quin is 5, right? And then the dotted green lines, those are semi-sextiles. It's when things are 30 degrees apart. And that's important too. Another aspect I wouldn't usually talk about, but it's relevant here. I need that one other paper. See, I'm doing things different, so you guys don't mind, right? There's that one aspect that I need to look at. Pluto. Maybe I don't. I'm just kidding. We're not going to worry about that one right now. Okay. So what is a quincunx? What does it mean when planets are 150 degrees apart or 5 signs apart? A very simple explanation that I found handy from Stephen Forrest is adjustment, shared creativity, and romance. So think about these guys as like they don't always get along perfectly, but they have common interests, and something really great, like meaningful, can come from them when they work together. It's also important to note that Venus, while it is quincunx this full moon, is the ruler of Libra. So it just, again, reinforces this nodal movement. Like, this is, you're going to see that this is the main thing. Like, everything about this chart reinforces that there has to be some kind of balance. It's all about balance. And if I'm not going to get too crazy with how I explain it, just suffice it to say that balance is a critically important focus of this new moon. So this Venus is, like I said, reinforcing the whole nodal movement. Venus and the North Node, right? Because the North Node is also quincunx this moon. So we have to make some adjustments there for you to be able to reflect on your ego a little bit, maybe with how we feel and with what we're trying to achieve, what we're moving toward, our sort of like evolutionary goal, if you will. We have to make some adjustments to do that. But if we can do that, it becomes something so meaningful and amazing. And we can do it really well with these energies if we do it right. So these guys are quincunx, right? If the moon is quincunx the North Node, if the moon is quincunx the North Node during a full moon, because the moon and the sun are opposite from each other, the North Node and the South Node are also opposite from each other. And it doesn't show up on this chart, but it's in 27 degrees of Virgo, right? Because geometry, angles and stuff, it was like the part of math that I hated the most, and who knew that I would need it the most, right? So there's also a quincunx going on between the sun and the South Node. Some adjustments need to be made here, but if we can do it right, it becomes something so beautiful and meaningful. The South Node is about letting things go, and when it's quincunx, the Sun, what is it about our ego that we need to let go of? So you see it play out again in another way. All of these things right here, right? I feel like this huge conjunction between Venus and Saturn and the North Node and Mercury and even Neptune, which we'll talk about in a second, that's sort of like a supporting energy. You know, it's part of this conjunction just because it's in a different sign. The Sun is a very powerful part of your chart. It's who you are, your core self. But this conjunction right here, excuse me, all of these guys are working together sort of against the Sun. Like, they're in each other's path, in each other's way. What sort of opportunity is being created here? And I feel like the energy of these guys is sort of stronger than our ego Sun for right now, especially with it being quincunx, the South Node. I know that's sort of like sacrilegious or heresy to say that something is more powerful than the Sun in a chart, but it feels like it. I feel like this full moon is making it very easy to see. I feel like it's making it very easy for our subconscious to check our ego. Pisces is this place of like voluntary surrender. It's transcendental. It's not surrendering because you've been dominated, because you've lost, or because you're just tired and ready to get it over with. It's ready to surrender, like it wants to. It's surrender as in all the work is done. I've completed everything. It's completion, not accomplishment. Where with Capricorn, we see like this accomplishment, right? It's the work you do in life, the things you build, the legacy you leave. Pisces is past that. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So not only has it completed its great work, like it's completed everything. It's ready to transcend. It's ready for death. It's ready to let go of something. Pisces and Aries, even though they are so close together, they have things, they complement each other in this way, right? Aries is about existing in the world, and that doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. Pisces is about letting go of that, and it doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. Like it's not in relation to anything else. There's no opposition in Pisces. It's not thinking about what it's going to do tomorrow. When I think about the Pisces place, because you know I'm always like meet the planets, visit the signs. My Pisces place is like sitting on the back porch at dusk when the sun has just set, and you're just sitting there on the porch, just enjoying the moment. Like the day is done. You're not thinking about the things you have to do tomorrow. That's irrelevant right now. Remember, Pisces has nothing to do with the other, and tomorrow is an other. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about this moment right now. You are at peace, and everything is good. So what exactly is it? I've been talking about like our letting go of something with our ego and something dying. Like what exactly is it that we need to kill off or that we just need to allow to pass? I feel like it's our critical judgments. Critical judgments of ourselves and other people, right? Can we just chill on the porch and enjoy our drink, enjoy the sunset, whatever? I don't care that you didn't fold the clothes right. I don't care that I did this, or like whatever it is, I don't care. Can we just sit here and enjoy this moment together? Those little small differences, those details are not important. I wasn't even expecting to talk about this, but think about it like maybe you don't have the best relationship, or like maybe, you know, you're friends with somebody and then you have like this falling out or whatever. You're like arguing, you're fussing, you're fighting right now, you're not getting along, and you're like, well, I just shouldn't be friends with them anymore because they did this and they did that, and you're sort of like playing the blame game. Or if you're like, I feel really bad because, you know, I did this to somebody and I just don't know how to approach them and how to tell them I'm sorry or whatever. If one of you is not going to be here anymore, how quick would you get over those petty differences? Just saying. Think about it on that level. That is Pisces, and that's what I feel like. That's how important I feel like this is, sort of. I'm not saying like, oh my God, it's a life or death matter. Like, I don't want you to panic or anything like that. I'm just saying, think about it, consider it. If you want to know what is really important, just think about the thing that you are harping on in relation to death. And that'll tell you how you really feel about it. Is it worth dying for? Yes? Okay, then it is important. Is it not worth dying for, like, at all? Okay, then why are you still talking about it? What can we do to... I'm not saying just, like, forget about it or throw it under the rug or whatever. I'm saying, like, use your Venus and Mercury, communicate in a way that is going to be effective communication, understanding communication. Jesus is Pisces, right? Like, Jesus didn't care about what people did for a living. Oh, you're a prostitute? Okay, cool. He didn't care. He didn't even consider it because it wasn't one of the important things. I'm talking about Jesus a lot, but we're talking about Pisces, so I feel like it's relevant. I'm pretty sure the only time Jesus ever came close to losing his cool, like, the only time he really invoked his Saturn and put his foot down was with the Pharisees. And the Pharisees are very Virgo to me because they're the lawmakers. They said, you're not living right, and you're not living right, and you're not living right. And then they made the laws. And they're very judgmental of other people. That's the only time Jesus ever put his foot down. That's sort of a Virgo Pisces lesson right there, too. Did you know the Bible is full of astrology? Anyways, Jesus would say, hey, let's just not worry about this. Let's just sit down together, have some fish, have some bread. Jesus story jokes. Anyways, the next thing. Let me move on. Neptune and Aries. What does Neptune have to do with this? Because it's pretty much in conjunction with these things, especially if you think about how fast Mercury moves. It's only a couple of degrees away from Neptune. But Neptune is in a different sign, so what does that even mean, right? Neptune is water. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. The modern ruler, okay? The modern ruler of Pisces. So when Neptune moves into Aries, is trying to cool it down a little bit, we see more of that, like, hey, Aries, take it down a notch. Neptune is about how we evolve spiritually, how we grow on a soul level, however you want to use, like, whatever word you want to use in place of spiritually or soul, please feel free to substitute your words for those. The meaning I'm trying to convey is the same. So with Neptune moving into Aries, because this Neptune moves really, really slow, right? So it's sort of like a generational thing. It's something that we can look at as like a whole society. It affects us as a whole society more than it does just like an individual level, like the more personal planets like Mercury and Venus and Mars. Neptune is saying, now that you have made your existence known and stood up for yourself, do you have the courage to face the people that you unintentionally or intentionally ward against, the people that you hurt? Are you brave enough to stand up to them, to face them, not to stand up to them, but to face them? That's like another form of transcendence, right? Like, if you have hurt someone, whether you meant to or not, I think especially if you did mean to, this is a lot harder. Because you know, like, it's intentional. And now you have to sort of look at somebody that you intentionally wronged and say, hey, here I am, we're in front of each other. Where do we go from here? Kind of thing. And holy shit, like, that is growth. Probably shouldn't say holy shit when I'm talking about Jesus, but it is what it is. So do you see how, like, all of these planets and these aspects and things, the nodes, like, everything is sort of playing into this is which way we need to go kind of thing? One of the things about Neptune going into Aries, like, something that you have to be careful of, because Neptune is about spirituality. Don't mistake you have to be careful not to be self-righteous. Are you angry about something because you should be angry about it? Or are you angry about it because you want to be right? Does it have to do with your ego? Or does it have to do with everybody's existence? Does it have to do with the whole Piscean picture, or does it have to do with your ego? Ego loves to be the center of attention. It doesn't want you to pay attention to your subconscious. It doesn't want you to do anything that's going to take any attention away from it. And the ego is very comfortable where it is. It wants you to stay the same, to keep, like, being comfortable, to stay stuck in the same spot. The ego does not want you to grow. Not in the way that, like, Carl Jung talks about the ego, or Sigmund Freud talks about the ego. It doesn't want you to know that there's another. Your ego doesn't want you to recognize your subconscious. So don't get caught up in self-righteousness. Don't think that you are more enlightened than someone else, that you know better. One of the biggest oxymorons that I see today, I guess we've always seen them throughout history, right? But I say we see today because I do see it today, because I live today. Like, my eyes are working today. They can't see what was in the past. But if you are judging someone for being too judgmental, come on now. Or if you say, I just don't understand how somebody could be like this. Why can't they be more like me? Why can't they be more open and accepting? Are you being open and upset? Are you being open and accepting? It doesn't just mean being open and accepting to the people who are like us. It very much means sitting on the porch when the sun goes down with somebody that you're different from. And being okay with that, like being able to enjoy their presence, being able to understand that everybody exists together. How can somebody be like this? Because they are. You are like you and they are like them. And that's just how it is. Again, I think we get over it real quick when there's like this life or death thing. When death comes into the picture, we always get over a lot of stuff. So another thing to think about is not just like your friend that you've had a falling out with or whatever. If one of you doesn't exist anymore, what would you be willing to get over to extend the olive branch, so to speak, to, get past all the little trivial things? But you know how people say if you've got a loved one that's dying, do you really care anything about the paramedic's personal life as long as they're here to save the person you care about? So think about that too. Like, what is really important? The Piscean death thing again. I'm going to find my place on these notes real quick. I'm so glad I left these timestamps in because I wrote down the timestamp I was at on my manually transcribed notes. My manual transcription, like a manual transmission. I'm going to use a car metaphor later too, by the way, so that's pretty synchronistic that came up. So I've said a lot of stuff about the nodes, right? I've talked a little bit about the sun and the moon, but we are talking about this full moon. I just think it's important that you understand some of the backstory and some of the things that are going on in the background so you can more fully appreciate the main characters. Libra, its glyph is a scale, right? The sign of Libra is a scale. It's an old-fashioned scale. It's not a digital scale. Why does that matter? Well, the digital scale, we've got these really detailed metric points, right? We can measure exactly how much something weighs. With Libra, it's not about the details of those things. It's about the balance. The overall balance is more important than getting it exactly right or focusing on these tiny little units of measurement, which is sort of what a judgment is. It's how we're measuring ourselves or somebody else. Whatever it is we're judging, we are putting our own units of measurement on that. We're taking its measure. So just like when the nodes move from one sign to the next, there's like this balancing thing that goes on. When you move from any sign of the zodiac into the next sign, that next sign sort of balances something out from the previous sign. There's our balance theme again, right? So you can see that like the whole focus of this thing is balance. It's not about the details. It's not about those critical little measurements. It's about the overall balance. Let me stop for 1 second and get my stuff together. Okay, so how do you stay true to yourself once you're with the other? That's the Libra balance. Yes, it's about, whatever interior design things work best, whatever is like aesthetically balanced. The music, the sound has to be balanced. If something is too far out of tune, it's gonna, there's like an aversion to it. So we can see it like with ourselves, we can see it in things around us. It's esoteric and exoteric. Exoteric meaning like outside, and esoteric meaning inside. So what I mean by like staying true to yourself while you're with the other, there's an integration of the two. If you are too much of yourself, like if you're forcing too much of yourself into this, or if you're allowing too much of the other to be involved, then there's no balance. It's like if you bake a cake, or if you make anything, if there's not the right balance, if you put too much of something or not enough of something, then it's not going to come out right. It's not going to bake. It's going to taste like shit. So we have to give and we have to receive. We have to give. We have to allow the other to give. We have to receive. We also have to allow the other to receive. We breathe in and out. The trees breathe in and out, and they work together in that way. When we're talking about air, we're talking about, again, like our cognition, how we think and how we move, motor skills, those sorts of things. And that has everything to do with our perspective. And I'm not going to go into the neuroscience of that, but if you want to find out more about that, Andrew Huberman is probably the way to go. He's the most understandable, articulate neuroscientist I've ever listened to. Not that I listen to a lot of neuroscientists, but Anyways, so here's the thing about perspective and air. Gemini is the first air sign. This is another Bible story, but it's also everywhere else too. Gemini is about Cain and Abel. Or Cain and Abel is about Gemini. Who knows which came first, the stars or the people? I don't know. But anyways, Pollux and Castor, that's another story. I can't remember the Babylonian names right now, but like you can find them everywhere, okay? So when we're talking about Gemini, we're talking about these two perspectives. That's what those twins or those brothers represent, the two perspectives, okay? Abel was like the good son. He represented somebody who did everything right. Cain was like the bad son. He represented somebody who does everything wrong. Okay, so you see right and you see wrong. With Pollux and Castor, Pollux was Zeus's son, so he had some divinity in him. Divinity is like right. That's our ideal. That's what we're striving toward, right? Castor was the mortal, so he was the opposite of divine. Abel was seen as like God's favorite. He was closer to God. Cain was like rejected by God. So you see these two perspectives. One is the ideal and one is the real world, right? One is like this God's perfect vision, and the other one is that's never going to happen. That's the Gemini thing. And the thing you have to realize, Libra, where this comes into play, where it like flows into Libra, both of those things are absolutely true. Even though they're complete opposites from each other, they're both absolutely true. We have to find some way to reconcile that these two truths exist together at the same time, even though they're total opposite perspectives. The stories of Castor and Pollux and Cain and Abel differ when you move into the Libran area. With Cain and Abel, this is what happens when we don't reconcile those two perspectives, when we are unable to find the balance. Cain killed Abel. Well, if I can't make you more like me and I can't be more like you, then I'm just going to take you out because I don't want to deal with you anymore. You don't exist in my version of what's a perfect world. Castor and Pollux had a more positive outcome. Castor died in that story too. But the difference is in how they were integrated at the end. Pollux gave up his immortality. He gave up his divinity in order for them to exist together in the constellation we know as Gemini. Oh, sorry, that hits me. For some reason, man, I'm emotional today. You can look at him giving up his divinity as him giving up his righteousness, his self-righteousness, because he himself was righteous, because he was divine. He gave that up in order to integrate with his brother, who was the opposite of him. And look what they became because of that. Immortalized in the heavens, right? It's if you really think about it, it's amazing. So perspective is important. Our perspective is important, and someone else's perspective is important. And even if they are different, even if they are total opposites, you can't do anything about that. Like, you can't force one to be the other. You can't force your perspective to be their perspective, and you can't force their perspective to be your perspective. You have your own voice. You have your own feelings. You have your own thoughts. And you're supposed to. But are you willing to give just a little bit? Are you willing to be just a little bit less self-righteous so they have a chance to shine too? Or not even shine, just so you have a chance to exist together and become something more. So Libra is about this equality and partnership. Whatever the partnership is, whether it's two brothers or it's two married people or two business owners or your ego and your subconscious or yourself and the world. It's about finding an equality in that. You are different individually, but you are still equal. That's really got me thinking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I'm from Memphis. I live in Memphis. It's where he died. And he's one of my favorite people that ever existed. So, if we want to grow, if we want to prosper, if we want to become more than what we are right now, there has to be an equality between our ego and our subconscious, between our wisdom. Think of your subconscious as your wisdom. There has to be this equal relationship between what you know to be wise and your ego. Ego does not like to listen to wisdom. Ego doesn't want to hear that shit. Don't tell me you don't know better than me. And wisdom is just like, okay. So what we really have to think about is what is in our subconscious, right? What is our subconscious trying to say to us? What is it reflecting back to us with the big, bright, full moon spotlight? What part of our ego is it reflecting back to us and saying, hey, hold on a second. I need you to take a look at this. This big Carl Jung mirror right in front of your face. Are we willing to look at that thing? If we are brave enough to look at it, what are we going to see and what are we going to do about what we see? See, you can do something to help, you can do something to hurt, or you can not do anything. Not doing anything is not always a bad thing. Sometimes we don't need to do anything. Sometimes anything we do is going to be the wrong move. Like we just sort of need to, like it's not gonna help anything. It's not gonna hurt anything. We just sort of need to let things play out on their own, especially if it's something that doesn't concern us. So sometimes you need to just sit back and not do anything. But if we do something about it, is it going to be something to help or hurt? Are we going to get defensive because we don't like it and lash out? Are we going to try to work with it and integrate it and bring balance so it can exist with the rest of us? This is crazy how, like, if you just pay attention, the universe will give you everything you need and show you examples of everything. The universe, God, whatever you want to call it. I have to, when I pick my son up from school, I have to like wait in line. And this was a couple days ago, there was a car that needed to get over, right? And it's kind of like when anytime you're in traffic and somebody gets over in front of you, this is like you versus the other, right? You are being exposed to the other. Your worlds are coming together now. You have to exist in the same place with this other. What's your perspective on that? Sometimes people move over in front of you because they're being assholes, right? Because they're selfish, because they're not worried about you. They need to get over so you're going to get out of their way. Sometimes people really just need to move over because that's the way they're going. That's their path. And you are in that path with them. You're going the same way as them. So I'm looking at my stuff. Sorry, text stuff. There's a couple different ways that can play out. And this is about the perspective thing. Like if they cut you off because they're being assholes, you can be an asshole right back because they just tweaked your fight or flight and they're threatening you. So you're gonna rear up and say, hey, you're gonna, get all Aries on them back. That leads like to the Cain path where one of you is sort of trying to destroy the other one because you're not trying to create something with the other one. You're not trying to exist at the same time and integrate. You're fighting. Are you just gonna say, they might be having a bad day, or I really don't care, it's not that big a deal, and really not be bothered by it? What if they just, or like, here's another thing. What if you actually weren't paying attention and you just look up and somebody's getting over And maybe they thought it was okay to move over, to merge over, but then you're like, well, where did this person come from? Why are they cutting me off? Your perspective is a little skewed because you have your perspective. What is their perspective? And what is the whole true thing that happened? Because there's two sides to every story, right? Where do you find the balance? What is the truth? Man, I would hate to be a judge. So how much are you willing to do to balance this situation? When I was talking about being in line when I was picking my son up, there was this person who probably should have already been in line, and it looked like they were just skipping a bunch of people, and they could have been skipping everybody because they didn't want to be in the back of the line. That's very possible. They also maybe had to turn at an awkward place that was not anywhere near the back of the line. Like maybe they were coming off another street where they weren't anywhere close to being able to just get in line on everybody else. So they needed to get over. The guy in front of me let that person over just without a thought, right? He's just like, it's cool, come on. Was he irritated about it? I don't know. I don't have his perspective. I don't have any insight on his perspective. But like, the point is, there was an integration that happened. There was a merger that happened. Like everybody's in line now. It doesn't matter what this perspective is or what this perspective is. Like there are all sorts of perspectives, and how are we going to keep them working together so that the situation keeps moving forward? Because what if somebody gets cut off in the line to pick up your kid, and there's a fight, and now the line's backed up and the kids are stuck at school and nothing's moving anymore? We're stuck. We're not evolving anymore. We're stuck. But what if you're one of those people that's like, yeah, sure, come on over. No, I'm sorry, I'm in your way. Come on over. Even when somebody's being an asshole, right? Why do you feel like you're in their way? So are you giving too much of yourself? Or are you not giving enough of yourself? This is what you need to think about with the subconscious thing. The best thing to do, if you feel yourself like reacting to the other, is to just take a breath. Do you know how much that resets your brain when you just, how much it clears your thought process? That's another neuroscience thing you can look into if you want. But it goes back to our natural instinct for breathing, right? We don't want to breathe too much in. We don't want to breathe too much out. Because here's the thing about when we come into contact with this other, when we become aware of this other in the Libra space, the way air moves through the zodiac, like the modality of it, it starts out being back and forth. It starts out with a mutable energy. So you're paying attention to both things, right? You're paying attention to what's coming in, and you're paying attention to what's going out. We listen to other people talking when we're babies, so we learn to talk. We breathe in, and then we breathe out. We watch other people learn to walk, and then we walk. Or move your fingers, or hold a fork, or whatever it is that you learn to do. When it comes to your thought process and your motor skills, you take the information and you process it, and then you do the thing, right? That's Gemini. With Libra, it's not mutable anymore. Now it's cardinal. Your attention is out. It's moving away from you. It's about this new thing that's outside of you. This is where the other comes in. Be careful how much attention you pay to the other. Don't let the things that you admire about this other, the things that you identify with about them, become your identity, right? Because this energy is outside of you, is not you. You should acknowledge it but you still have to be you. In Aquarius, the energy is fixed. It's about inside of you. And if you'll notice people who are later in years, when it comes to like their thoughts and how much attention they pay to all the stuff that's going on in the world, you know how younger people are like adolescent age people, young adults, their energy is focused out when it comes to air, their cognitive ability. So they're paying attention to things that are outside of them. They can tell you all the trends and the music stuff. And did you watch this? And did you hear about that? And I heard this new song. And if they say something to somebody who is very much older than them, the old person's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And they don't care to, because it's that fixed energy. They're paying attention to themselves and what's going on, you know, in their world. Their attention is not outside of them in that way. So when you're in this Libra space and your attention is focused outside of you, don't lose yourself. Like, don't get lost in the things that are outside of you. Don't let them take over you. You have to figure out, the best way to do things, the best way to move, the best way to communicate, all of these things. Whether it's how to move through these rooms, like how to navigate these stairs that I have to walk up, how to navigate this pen that I need to pick up, how to navigate whatever it is that you're trying to navigate. You have to figure out how to do it. You have to weigh the pros and cons. Should I move to this new place and take this job, or should I stay here where I'm comfortable and I know everything that's going on and keep this job? Like, which one's going to mean more to you? What is the balance? Right? So weighing the pros and cons and finding that balance when there's sort of like an opposition thing to look at. And I'm not talking about like quick decisions, like what should we have for dinner? That's not a decision that you should take 2 days to figure out. Some things you should take 2 days to figure out, and some things you should just be able to decide pretty quick. It's about perspective. Do you have the right perspective on the situation? I'm using my Teddy stuff some more. So with the sun in Aries, you've got a fiery sun and fiery Aries, and a way to sort of keep the right perspective on that, to find the balance, is your ego creating something or destroying it? Because fire does both, right? It creates and it destroys. Both of those things are absolutely true, and they are absolutely opposite from each other. The opposite of light is dark. The opposite of hot is cold. They're opposites, but they complement each other, right? Because it's like we define things based on their opposites a lot of times. Why is something soft? Because it's not hard. Why is something hard? Because it's not soft. Wet, dry, like you're always contrasting in your mind. It's just because we exist in this duality, right? Like everything is a duality in our universe. It's a law of physics or something. And we have to reconcile that, and Libra is the place where it's reconciled. In the Book of Air, Stephen Forrest says, "Welcome to the heart of Libra, where opposites complement each other, although sometimes they only do that after considering the possibility of slitting each other's throats." Like Cain and Abel versus Castor and Pollux, right? Instead of killing the other, you have to integrate it, because if you kill it, it doesn't exist anymore and there's nothing to balance. I'm getting a little repetitive now. I know this is going a lot longer than I normally do. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But I think that's okay, because one of the things I'm really working on is like slowing down and taking my time and not trying to rush. So if I overdo it and trying to bring that balance, it's okay. Here's another thing. I love this example, right? Like all the water is on this side, this end of the bottle. It exists in this space. And this side of the bottle, the top is opposite the bottom, right? If you want to balance this water so it's equally in the top and the bottom, you have to move it like this. But did you see what happens when it starts moving over? It's sort of like there's this wave that pushes it up this way before it balances out. So a lot of times when you see nature trying to balance itself out, there's almost like this overcorrection one way before it levels back out. It's just something that happens. The goal is to not let that overcorrection become another imbalance. Just looking at my notes again. So another Libra thing is about like making peace. Peace is a word that implies things were not peaceful, and now they are, that there is an other there. And it's different from comfort, because comfort is sort of like a selfish thing. Comfort is what we find in Taurus. I'm not saying selfish like bad. It's absolutely necessary. But comfort is like a Taurian quality. And it's all about you, because Taurus is a fixed energy. So what makes you comfortable? What makes you comfortable is not going to make somebody else comfortable. So your comfort is your own internal fixed energy. And peace is different from that, because peace says that we exist together without hurting each other. After a war, you need a time of peace. After the North Node being in Aries, you need Pisces. You can't underscore one extreme and like deny the other one. So with the moon being in Libra, anytime a planet is in Libra, it's naturally inclined to see that there are two sides to every story. And it's sort of exploring this tolerance for paradox, this idea of existing with this other. How does the moon do this, right? What is our subconscious trying to balance? How does that work in relation to our ego being an Aries? What is our subconscious trying to get us to take a look at about ourselves? What are we going to do about it? Why is the balance even important? Like why can't we just do what we want and kill the other? Well, have you ever tried to only breathe in without breathing out? Have you ever tried to just sit still for your whole life and not move at all? Or why can't we only breathe out and not breathe in? Why can't we only move constantly? Because death happens if you're only doing one or the other. If you're only breathing in, then there's a buildup of carbon dioxide. Like your lungs will there's only a certain capacity there, right? Then that's it, they're full. The carbon dioxide is going to poison you if you don't get rid of it. If you're only breathing out the carbon dioxide, you're never breathing in any oxygen. Your body is not getting what it needs. If you're only sitting still and not moving, your muscles will atrophy. They will die. They will just cease to be, wear out. And if you're only moving, you're not giving your muscles any time to rest. And guess what? They're eventually going to wear out. so that there's no balance. And when there is no balance, you've got death, because that means that these two things were existing and one of them doesn't exist anymore. So what happened to that one thing? There's another thing that can happen too, right? If you've ever been hit hard enough to lose your breath, like your diaphragm gets stuck, and you're unable to draw a breath in, your natural reaction is like your body sort of panics. It goes into fight or flight mode, and you try to force it to happen. You're trying to force the balance because your body knows that unless it brings balance back, you're going to die. That's why you go into fight or flight. That's an Aries thing, that fight or flight thing. It has to do with your existence, right? You're trying to exist, but your body needs balance in order to exist. Our world needs balance in order to exist. Do you see how existence and balance have they're necessary for each other? If you get the breath knocked out of you, then see, here's what happens, right? Let me see if I can remember this because I don't think I wrote it down. Oh wait, yes I did. Did I? Yeah. An imbalance becomes stress. If there's an imbalance in the way the bridge is weighted, whichever part is out of balance is going to become stressed. And that's going to lead to panic, like, oh shit, something's about to happen. We got to do something right now. And then if you still don't fix the balance, there's chaos. Like there's no more structure. It's gone. When you're trying to breathe, you know, you've had the breath knocked out of you. You're trying to breathe. Your body recognizes that imbalance and you get stressed and you start to panic. And then if you don't figure it out and bring the balance back, there's chaos because you're not here anymore. You know what I'm saying? The goal is to see the imbalance before it gets too stressful. If that doesn't happen, you really need to notice it where the stress is. When the stress starts to happen, figure out where the stress is coming from and fix it then, because after stress comes panic. And we don't want to get to that point because we can't think when we're panicked. The Libra Aries axis, like where the sun and the moon are right now, you have to have both of those energies. You have to have an assertion of one thing to balance the other thing. Another thing is we're more effective when we understand our opposition. When we understand the thing it is that we are up against that is also on our path, in our way, it makes us so much more effective in all areas, right? Can you really argue a point if you don't know anything about the other side of it? How can you be so sure you're right if you don't have anything to weigh it against? You see examples of this with like science people who think they just know so much, they're not even willing to look at something outside of that because they think they are the expert on it. Or like doctors or anybody who thinks they are an expert in their field and is unwilling to look at anything else. How are they going to learn anything new? And do you really trust somebody who is that narrow-minded? You also see it in like religious organizations. I'm not knocking Christianity here at all, right? I'm just using my perspective, my skewed, biased perspective, because it is only mine. I grew up in a church, in a Southern Baptist church, and I went to an awesome church. Okay, my pastor at that church is helped me through a lot of stuff when I felt very unaccepted by the church as a whole and like the church member family because I was maybe not Christian enough for them. He helped me understand why I didn't need to worry about that. We'll just put it that way. So he was a great, great man. I had a good experience in my church. He was not afraid of people who ask questions. That's the point. When you have somebody, and he was never going to tell you not to ask questions. He was like, it talks about people in the Bible who had doubt, who questioned things. Like, we have a voice, we are supposed to use it to question. But sometimes they're like, nope, that's against the Bible, that's of the devil, just leave it alone, don't look into it, don't have anything to do with it. But you want me to go out and like give testimony to these people and tell them about who I think God is and why my religion and my faith is so awesome. How am I supposed to do that when I can't use it in comparison to theirs? It makes you ineffective, and it makes you people kind of look at you like you don't know as much as you think you do, or there's an aversion to that, you know what I mean? So yeah, Libra is about expressing yourself and giving the other room to express itself. You got the work home life balance, right? Or the work personal life, whatever you want to call it. You need room to work. This is how you provide for yourself. It's necessary. But it's also something that you need to do well if you want to, to have anything in life, if you want to grow and evolve and develop in life. So you have to pay attention to your work life to develop it. You also need to pay attention to the opposite of that. It's your home life, your personal life. You need to have room for work and play in your life. What areas of your life do you need to balance, and how is your ego holding you back? What part of yourself needs to come out more? What part of yourself is over asserting itself? Is it your anger? Is it your fear? Is it your sadness? Is it like, what is it? Where's the imbalance? Why is it there? What attention does it need so it can chill out and like stop doing that so much? Like, maybe we're focused. This is how these things can show up in your real life, by the way. While I've been on this philosophical rant for the last hour and a half, maybe we're so focused on getting this one room organized that we neglect to take care of other areas of the house. Maybe we're so focused on the way our car looks, fixing it up, customizing it, painting it. Oh, it's so cool, I've got these awesome speakers, that we neglect that the engine needs to be maintained. So how do you pay attention to all parts of the whole, all parts of the system, so it does work as a system? Are we so focused on what someone else is saying that we neglect what we have to say? Or are we so focused on what we have to say that we neglect to listen? Are you so focused on your physical health that you neglect your mental health, or vice versa? If you want to zoom in a little bit further on that with like your physical health thing, are you so focused on your protein intake that you forget you also need fats or carbs or whatever it is you need to stay healthy? Are you so focused on losing weight that you neglect your body's need for nutrition? I know some of these might hit really close to home, right? But that's what our subconscious does. It's supposed to make us pay attention to these things because they matter. Are you brave enough to deal with them? Are you brave enough to look in that mirror? Maybe you're so focused on growing your rose bushes and they look so awesome, and I'm going to win the award for best rose bush in the whole neighborhood. The whole HOA is just going to be like, oh my gosh, Miss Mandy's got the most beautiful rose bushes. Oh shit, my grass is not cut because I've been so focused on the rose bushes, I wasn't paying attention to my grass. I don't think you're going to win any awards with grass that's a foot tall. That's not yard of the month. Are you so focused on how your neighbor has harmed you that you neglect to think about how you might have harmed them? Are you so focused on what you've done for other people that you neglect to realize what people have also done for you? Are you so focused on success, achieving more, accomplishing more, running 10 extra meters during your workout or whatever, that you neglect time to rest and play? Or are you so focused on being comfortable and cozy that you neglect to get things done? These sorts of insights that we gain when we dig into these things only serve to help us function better as a whole person, a whole society, a whole whatever the system is that you're working within. It only serves to bring us greater peace. Unless you're just the type of person who wants to be pissed off about something all the time, who wants to be aggravated because things are out of balance. You're frustrated that things are out of balance, right? That's stress. Why would you want stress? But are you willing to do the work to get rid of the stress? That sense of inner peace comes from integrating the thing that you're stressed out about, paying attention to it, recognizing it, and like figuring out the balance. How many times have I said balance during this whole thing? And as long as things are out of balance, you're always going to be frustrated that the opposite is not doing what you think it needs to do. Or maybe it's not doing what it needs to do, period. Like it doesn't have anything to do with your perspective. But what are you going to do about it? Going back to the music thing, the band director, like think about if the band director only paid attention to the woodwind instruments because maybe he played clarinet or something, like maybe he's Squidward and that's his favorite band section. So they're paying so much attention to the woodwind instruments, they neglect to pay attention to the other sections of the band. That music is going to sound like shit. It doesn't matter how good the woodwind instruments are, they can be perfect. The whole song is going to sound like shit. Like that saying, don't skip a leg day, don't skip a leg day. Oh, they must have forgotten leg day. Look at their chicken legs. Because they're so focused on the bench press. Their arms are so pumped up. They've got these big muscles and these little chicken legs. They're out of balance, right? Why are you so focused on your arms and not your legs? What is it your ego is telling you about your arms that maybe you need to think about a little bit? It's what is your subconscious trying to tell you, The whole thing, the whole chart here is about finding harmony. There's harmony in music. Harmony is when things exist as they are to their fullest capacity, right? Their fullest potential, and they work together to do that. It's like 1 + 1 = 3. Together you become something more. Pisces is the 3, right? We've got 1, we've got the other. 1 + 1 = 3 when you integrate them. It's what makes Pisces. The Pisces space is when we become greater than the sum of our parts. And that's the main idea, the main takeaway from this whole full moon energy. what part of your ego, what part of your sun, your ego, what part of your ego is your subconscious trying to shine a big, bright full moon at to show you it's out of balance, right? We can tell when something is out of balance, like I said about the stress thing, but if you think about the whole aversion, it's sort of like because it stresses us out. If you listen to music that's out of tune, like it's stressful to our eardrums, we want to get away from it. We have a natural aversion to things that could potentially hurt us. And since our bodies understand on a primal, instinctual, reptilian brain level that stress leads to panic, which leads to chaos, which leads to death potentially, we have an aversion to things when there's a stressful situation going on. I mean, stress is in like not good stress, not stress that we're going to grow from. But then I guess that's sort of part of it too, because if something is stressing you out a little bit because it's maybe like hard to do or hard to work with, hard to think about, like trying to organize all this techie stuff stresses me out. Is it stress like, okay, I need to stop this and find something else because trying to do this is going to make me more out of balance? Or is it like, we might have to shut part of the bridge down while we fix this one part so everything is working like it should? You know, is this something that I need to continue to work through the stress so it goes away? Or is it like, we just need to do something else that's not the right thing? Our brains recognize what is pleasing to us and what is not. That aversion thing is what has kept certain species alive for so long. Like there's this ability to adapt to a situation. Like we need that equilibrium, right? We need balance and harmony. And in that way, Libra is very evolutional on its own, because if we can adapt to our environment in a way that is balanced, we continue to exist. Where a species that does not do well adapting to its environment, that falls out of balance when it tries to adapt to its environment, that species goes extinct. Our evolution continues because we can adapt to changes in a balanced way. I mean, adaptation is sort of like a balance in itself. Adaptation is not, I'm just going to go along with this because it's less work. Or I'm just going to go along with this because I don't want to cause any problems. Adaptation is not, I'm going to force this thing to bend to my will. That's not a way to adapt. It figures out a way to live with a thing. It's two things figuring out a way to live together without destroying each other. It gets rid of the tension. It lets go of the tension. It sits on the back porch when the sun's gone down and just enjoys the moment. So if we want to keep existing, we need to get rid of the stress. What part of your life, what thing in your life is wearing out because it's stressed? What part of you is going to collapse soon and bring the whole system down? And this is a deep question. What area in your life, in yourself or in your life around you, is so stressed out that it's about to panic? It's going to reach that breaking point and then it's going to snap and the whole thing is going to come down because that one little part was out of balance. It was not getting what it needed. You got to keep it from redlining. There's the car metaphor that I mentioned earlier when I said automatic transcendence. Did I say that? Or not manual transcendence? Manual transcription when I was transcribing this. But yeah, this is sort of like, transcendence, transcription, transmission. Ugh, I've been talking for a long time. I've been looking at these words for a long time today. Like the same sort of words over and over again. Okay, so real quick, and this is going to take me like 5 minutes to go over maybe. Jupiter is supporting all of this crazy work. You see how I had to give you a little backup because like this Libra full moon is sort of a big deal. The balance thing is a big deal. I think it's really important to me when people feel out of balance because I know how much harm it can do, and I don't ever want anybody to feel like that. I know how hard the work is, you know what I mean? I know how hard it is to get to that point of balance, and I want people to know that they can do that. So real quick, Pluto, right? Or Jupiter, I'm sorry, Pluto. Jupiter is supporting this work. Jupiter is in Gemini because Gemini is about the two perspectives, right? It's trying to get you to look at both perspectives and understand that both perspectives exist and there's potential in those two perspectives because 1 + 1 = 3. Pluto in Aquarius is supporting this because it's showing you that Jupiter is trining the moon over here. Pluto, I need to move my thing. Pluto is coming off, like the moon is coming off of a trine with Pluto, moving into a square. So this is going to be a little more challenging. And it's also like square in the sun here. I had to look around my camera. So this Pluto square is a little more challenging, right? It means we're gonna have to work on this a little bit. Pluto in Aquarius is showing you where the poison needs to be drawn out, the thing that needs to be healed so it can be more resilient. And Aquarius is like the humanitarian sign, right? It's like medicine and all of these things. So Pluto is like, hey, here's the wound. Here's the darkness. That's where you need to put the medicine. Pluto says this is what's hurting. Something else with like Pluto and Aquarius, just in general, right? Pluto is showing us where we have been socially conditioned, because Libra is the place where the social conditions happen, right? We're trying to integrate ourselves into the world. Where does our true self fit into the world? How do we balance our true self with the world? And has our true perspective been distorted in some way? Are we too attached to these ideals and beliefs? Have they indoctrinated us? Let me stand up so you can see my shirt here. Let me stop. I guess I can stop sharing right now because this is about the end of it. And bring that back. So my shirt, I wore the shirt on purpose and I tried to use it as like a thumbnail for the video, but it wouldn't let me because it said the file was too big. See, more techie stuff. I did not even mean to pull this shirt out. Like when I was digging through my laundry basket to find a clean shirt to wear, this one was flipped inside out. And I'm like, oh, t-shirt, that looks comfortable. And when I flipped it right side in, It was this one. And I love Obey because of their message, right? Damaged propaganda. What is propaganda? It's intentional misinformation that's made to skew our perception and cause imbalance. And you also see that there's like this cute little penguin with this broken music note and this broken record. So how perfect is the symbology in that, right? Fucking love it. Where is there an imbalance in how we actually think and feel versus what we've been told to think and feel? There's a lot of this going on in the world. And I know that like a lot of people are starting to recognize it too and question things more than they should, because you found your voice in Gemini. Don't lose your voice in Libra. Pluto in Aquarius says, hey, where you have lost your voice, it's cool. We can fix it. And here's something else we have to worry about. Are we willing to tolerate, like if we speak our truth, if we feel our truth, if we live our truth, if we are our true self, maybe somebody else is going to judge us for that. Maybe somebody else is going to disapprove. You got to deal with that. Or you're going to lose yourself, right? Are you going to damp yourself down? So Pluto is helping you be truthful with yourself. And that's where Mercury and Venus are helping us with that a whole lot, right? With the North Node in Pisces. Because they're helping us know how we think and how we feel. Can you accept yourself for your own truth? Can you accept what others consider their truth? Can you accept someone else's truth and how they think and feel? Saturn helps you out too, because it's saying, no. You don't feel like you have to go along with what somebody else says. I think it's really hard when you, like, I've always been sort of outside I know I said it was going to be like 5 more minutes, but I promise you guys I'm almost done. Or if you're enjoying my rant, thank you. That's appreciated. I've always been sort of an outsider in whatever group I'm in, because I think differently or I feel differently. Like I said, I wasn't Christian enough for, I'll say like the church organization, because I love a lot of people. Like, even though I haven't seen them in 20 years, like I'm still I have like there's space in my heart for these people, you know what I mean? That I went to church with. But I was always sort of like too pagan for the Christians and too Christian for the pagans. So that's not something that makes me uncomfortable. I'm like too sciencey for the woo-woo people and too woo-woo for the sciencey people. Like, that's always been a line that I've sort of walked. But if I hate to even use this dirty P word, but it's like I never fit in with the Republicans or the Democrats either, because I was too far one way. Like, I was too far the other way for these people, and I was too far that. You see what I'm saying? Like, I was too Republican for the Democrats, or I was too liberal for the conservatives and too conservative for the liberals. I'll just say it that way. But if you have identified strongly with one of these things or the other, that is you. If that is your truth, then that is your truth. But when I say identified with, that means your truth. There are things about this thing that fall in line with you and your truth, not you fall in line with that. When you have gone too far, there's an imbalance because maybe you've invested too much of yourself. You have fallen in line too much with this. It's hard to stand up and say, this is not how I think or feel. That's a really hard thing for people to do, because this whole group that has been like your support because you think the same and feel the same, you might lose some of that support. And you are strong enough to be okay with that, to get through that. Like, is it worth losing yourself over? Is it worth losing them over? If you see what I'm saying? Like, you have to ask these questions about balance, because it's what keeps it's like cosmic order. You know, what happens if the universe gets out of balance? Shit, we're in trouble. So Saturn is helping you to say no to that. It's helping you set your boundaries. It's keeping you from feeling like you have to go along with what other people want you to think and feel. Mars in Cancer is supporting it too, even though it might be challenging with its square to the moon. I'll just show you this chart because I already took the thing down and I've had enough tech for today. Okay, had enough tech for today. Mars up here. Mars in Cancer encourages you to be brave about how you feel, to not feel like you need to hide about what's true to your heart. You know what I mean? Even though it makes you vulnerable, like even though the crab's got to come out of its shell if it wants to grow, and when it doesn't have its shell, it's vulnerable. So we're vulnerable to the other. Mars being in Cancer encourages you to do that. Encourages you. It gives you courage to do these things. It's challenging with that square, right? It's squaring the moon, but that just means it's not going to be easy, right? There's going to be a little work. But do we not grow from a little bit of work when we get to work on something? I think if we thought about it like that, like, hey, I get to work on this instead of work to do, it makes it a little better. It's about our perspective. And I think it's worth work, you know? It's worth it to not hide from the world. Mars in Cancer sort of encourages you to interact with people and have a relationship with them, even if it doesn't always feel safe for you. It's like, oh, I don't know, we've been fighting, but maybe I can give you this olive branch. Maybe we can start to build the bridge back up. Maybe we can get the car going again. What other metaphors and analogies have I used? So the lesson from Mars and Cancer is about not letting your caution about your inner self take over your life. It's a paradox of being happy when you're safe and secure, but also getting stuck in that safety to the point where you fail to live. Because if a crab stays in its shell, guess what? And Chiron, I haven't said anything about Chiron yet. Chiron is conjunct the sun. Right here. All right. I think that emphasizes that something about our ego has been wounded. And that's why it's fighting so hard. It's wounded. It's trying not to die. It's trying to fight to exist. It feels vulnerable. And when things feel vulnerable, they lash out. So are we willing to take a look at that wound and really do the work there? Because everything in the full moon chart is trying to get us to do that. This is the last and most powerful thing about this chart. And I'm actually going to pull it back up so you can see this. Because it's not something you see all the time in astrology. And it's one of those things that's like, whoa, like almost mythical status, I guess. These green lines, the whole reason that I used a completely different website to pull up the chart this time, the quincunxes and the semisextiles, or the sextiles, I'm sorry, not the semisextiles. What is going on with this? Hang on, my computer's doing something weird. I know, right? So it's very close, right? What am I trying to look at here? Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, I'm having a technical thing going on. Let me fix it real quick. I told you we're gonna make it work. Can I put that down now? Okay, I got it. I think I got it. Yes. Okay. So we're gonna look at the North Node and Mercury right here, and Saturn. Really, Uranus is at 25 degrees, right? And then you got all these things right here. This whole conjunction. This is a sextile between Uranus and these things, right? Uranus is quincunx the moon, and these things are all quincunx the moon too. And what does that mean? That means we have a yod. A yod in astrology is also called the finger of God. The critical stuff going on. That's what I meant when I said it. It's kind of critical that you pay attention to where the imbalance is. So like Uranus is very excited to be working with Mercury and the North Node and Saturn and Venus. It's sort of like if you work remotely from someone and you guys work really well together, that's like a trine, right? Well, think about if you guys were in the same room working together. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting, right? That's a sextile. There's a lot of energy going on. There's a lot of like excitement. So much that, I know you guys are having some wild ideas right now, but are these ideas actually going to work, or are y'all about to blow up the lab? That kind of energy. So with the quincunx, remember I said we have to make an adjustment. This energy, like what adjustment does Uranus need to make to work with the moon, and what adjustment does all of this stuff need to make to work with the moon? Because the moon is the focal point, right? It's the apex. Can't really like ignore the energy of Uranus and this whole big conjunction right here. So take like all of that energy and kind of turn it into a laser and focus it into this work. It's like this is the energy that's going on between you and this person that you work so well with together, and you're so excited you might blow up the lab. Focus it on one thing. Whoa. Y'all don't have to do all that. Do this. Put all of that energy into this thing. It makes it hard to ignore. When you have that sort of energy focused on this thing, and Uranus is already like wild and crazy on its own, right? He's lightning strike. So how do you focus it to keep your lab from blowing up? It's more than 1 + 1 = 3. And it fits so well with the Piscean theme of the North Node. Like it's another form of transcendence, because a yod sort of means like if you do this work, if you get this work done, it is so much bigger than you. It is a transcendent type of work. So that's why I said it was important. But I didn't want anybody to panic about that. So, that's it, guys. Thank you for sitting with me for twice as long as I normally do this for. Any questions, let me know. Any thoughts, let me know. Anything, let me know. If there are things that you have going on, if you're trying to figure out where the imbalance is, if you know what the imbalance is and you just want to talk about it, anything like that, my link tree is somewhere on this YouTube techie thing. Set up an appointment with me, like book a consultation, message me, reach out to me. Like, what if I can help you in some way? I would love the opportunity. You and I in each other's path, creating some sort of unity. Love it. Man, that's awesome. Yeah, if there is something I can help you with, I would love the opportunity. And if it's something that I can't help you with, I will help you get to a place or to the person. I will help you get to the help. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people do come to me with things, like really deep things that I am not the best one to counsel them on. So if it is something like that, I will let you know. This is something like I'll do what I can. I'm not going to overstep. The goal is for you to get better, to grow, and my ego has nothing to do with that. So if the best thing to help you grow, to help you become more, is to go see a medical doctor or a lawyer or a psychiatrist, therapy, whatever it is you need, I'm going to be 100% honest with you on that. So know that. I think therapy is great. I think everybody should go. Just because, even if you don't like have any, whatever, like it's just nice to have somebody to talk to sometimes. You know what I mean? Even if it's not like super serious traumatic stuff. If you have trauma stuff going on, like if you have these deep, crazy things that you're like, there's no way I can tell anybody about that. It's not gonna faze me. And I don't mean that in a way that negates its importance. I mean that in a way that it's not gonna freak me out. It's just not. Yeah. That link's in my stuff somewhere in this techie world. Hi guys.